Compose window, we were back to just me again. I just hit compose, and let me know if I'm going too fast, if I'm hard to follow. Sometimes I kind of start to ramble too quickly and start clicking on things too fast. But right now I just clicked on compose to get this window up. And this is just your basic compose window to send a message off to someone, right? So the minute I click on the recipients button there, it gives me an area where I can start to type in email accounts. So I'm going to type in K Sutherland as my other test account. It'll give me that type ahead, so I can just click on that to populate the to field. If I wanted to do a carbon copy or a blind carbon copy, they're not automatically there. I can just click there and click there to make them appear, right? And then I can start to copy other people into the email. I'm going to add a subject here. I know most of you are pretty familiar with how to write an email, so I won't go too much deeper into that. Subject is pretty straightforward. This is where you type in the message body. And as you can see, there's some machine learning and AI that's already built in. So as I'm starting to type, I haven't used this account very much, so it's not giving me like a very robust answer here, but it is pretty much what I was about to type, right? So you can see in light gray, it's giving me a suggestion on what I might want to type, and I can actually take that suggestion just by hitting tab. So if you start typing the same things over and over, it makes it a lot easier as you go through your day and typing up emails. So just hit the tab button to take Google's suggestions, and you won't have to type as much. It sounds weird at first, but I guarantee you it'll be a really big time saver, especially if you're like me and you're working with a lot of different customers and you end up typing a lot of the same things, like what's your availability, see what your availability is already coming up and that sort of thing. In my actual real Gmail account, the suggestions are much longer, right? So I actually have almost a full sentence written out before I even start getting halfway there. So it saves a lot of time. And again, you just hit the tab button to take advantage of that. So moving down, again, signatures there. We won't go too much into the text formatting options. I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar with most of those formatting options, such as bolding, italicizing text. You can change the size of the text, the font, undo and redo. And, bullet points and numbered lists are all there. Right side justification, that sort of thing. To get rid of the formatting options, I just click on this A here, and that'll disappear. But I'm not going to go much deeper into that. Now, what's nice, a really great part of Gmail is that I can just slide attachments directly into this email as I'm typing it, right? So before we go any further, this might be a little bit small. I might want to get some more real estate into this compose window so you can see a little bit better. So I'm just going to hit this full screen button here. And as you can see, the window is just going to be bigger. It's going to sort of take over my full Gmail inbox. I might not always want to do that. Let's say I'm looking at multiple emails at the same time. As you can see, when it's collapsed, I can still look at my calendar just by clicking on this calendar button here. And so I might want to be able to work within the screen as I'm typing up the email. But if not, I just want to get that full screen view, I can just hit this full screen button, and then everything gets grayed out, and I'm really getting to focus on my email itself. So I was talking about attachments. There is a little paperclip here that I can use if I want to click on that. I can go and find, oops, a little delayed there. Find something that I want to be able to attach to the email itself. I take it, click on cancel. I can also directly drag and drop things straight into the image, so that into the message. So I have a picture of my dog here. I can actually just drag and drop that straight into the message, and that'll populate into the email. Or I can even drag and drop it a little bit lower down into the bottom of the message, and that'll attach it as a file. So right now, this is a huge image, so it's kind of slowed down here. I'll get rid of it. So that's my dog. Just getting rid of this there we go. So everything's back to speed. That's a huge image file, so I apologize. But just as I was mentioning, I can drag and drop this into the bottom, and it'll actually put it as an attachment as opposed to it being in the message body. As you can see, that's the two differences. So I dragged it in the middle, it put it there. I dragged it on the bottom bar here, and it put it as an attachment. So you can drag and drop, or you can just use the paperclip if you want to go and discover files on your machine to attach. I can also insert links directly. So just as an example, pretty boring example, right? But just I can select that text and then click this link button, and that'll be a clickable link within the email. We won't talk too much about emojis, although some of you may want to get into the whole emoji thing as you're typing your emails. I'm going to skip over that one. and then we're going to move on to Drive, right? So we are going to have a Drive training tomorrow. Just quickly, Drive is a great place where you can store files, images, videos, any type of file you want into the cloud. So basically, the cloud is Gmail, or I should say Google Drive. And the benefit of placing files into Drive is that you'll be accessible from anywhere, right? So if you're at work and you're working on a file, you can place it into Google Drive, leave your office, not have to bring your machine with you. But let's say you get back home and you want to make some changes to that file, you can just log on from your home computer and access that file from that other machine. So once you get really used to using Google Drive and you have a whole bunch of work files in there, you'll be able to insert files as attachments just by clicking this button here. And I already showed you that I could just drag and drop a photo into the message body. If you don't want to do the drag and drop, you can just use this button here as well. Now to the right, there are some extra features that I'm going to also show you. So when we show you how to do the multiple signatures as we had previously as a question, we're also going to look at some other things called canned responses. And that's sort of like a template. So if I had, as I mentioned before, I oftentimes end up typing the same email over and over to different customers. I can actually save some time by saving the email as a template and just being able to load that up into a new message every time I need it. And that's called canned responses. So it has to be turned on under the Gmail settings, and I'll show you where to do that. But once it is turned on, I can click on this little more options button, and you can see that I have it turned on. So if I just wanted to insert an existing template I have, I can click on that. And again, this is a very terrible example of a template, but it automatically populated the email with that pre-written text. And I can also save this as a new template if I wanted to, right? Just by clicking over here and saving it as a new template. Another thing that you will have built in right away without having to turn it on is check spelling, right? And what's great is if you speak multiple languages, if I click on check spelling, it does a little check, and I can also click on this drop down and I can choose what language I want it to do a spell check in. So I also speak French, so I might use the French one myself, and I'm sure many of you also speak other languages. So pretty robust tool, great way to do spell checks. Now the last thing I want to mention about composing is if you keep your eyes on this area here on the bottom, as I start to type in the message, okay, it's not showing, but what I'm trying to show you, oh, they moved it to the top. I apologize. So it used to be down here, it's now at the top. So it's just basically mentioning that the message is automatically being saved, right? So there is no save button in any of the tools, and that's even in Google Drive. When you're creating documents, everything is automatically saved the minute you start typing. So I'm going to start typing some more. Keep your eyes at the top here. You're going to see it's going to say draft saved in a minute or so. There we go. So even if my machine shuts down or I close this window, that message is automatically saved as a draft in my drafts folder or label here. And here it is under drafts here. I'm going to click on that message, and there's our message itself. All right, so that's going to be across the board. Remember, there's no save button in any of the tools within G Suite. There's an automatic save for all of them.